Are you bold enough for truth? The whole truth and nothing but the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
And this show is for you. Offsides with Mark Ryan.
This is
The Fan
Upstate.
What's good, everybody? This is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark Ryan and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate, rolling on until 7 p.m. today. Ton of choices out there. Sure do appreciate you making us part of your afternoon. Man, when you are newly married and you are a new bonus dad, you get the perks of having Father's Day for the first time. You guys yesterday said that I get to celebrate Father's Day now, which is awesome. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I am wearing around my neck, those of you on the YouTube page can see it, YouTube/ the Fan Upstate. I'm wearing the gift that Jackson got me for Father's Day that I just opened yesterday. It's a black necklace that has a black cross on it. So Jackson, love you, buddy. Love my Father's Day gift. And I'll tell you, it is a challenge, man. It is a challenge because the wifey and I over summer, he's got like a 2.5-month summer break. And his biological dad has him like 4 weeks of the 10 weeks. And we have him like 6 weeks of the 10 weeks. But it is a challenge because, the wifey and I are doing it like a trade-off where she works 5:30 a.m. to 2 or 2:30 p.m., races home, do the trade-off. I race here, and I've got the puppy. I've got my mother-in-law's puppy, and I've got 6-year-old Jackson from when they get up until 2 p.m. and got to get ready for the show. Puppy, 6-year-old, lunch, breakfast, everything in between. And it's like, Diesel, I had this feeling, man, when I was a teacher, like it was like I felt like the parents thought like it was our responsibility to have their kids. And I'm like, no. School is where you send your kids. It's your kid is your responsibility. It's not our responsibility. It's your responsibility. And now I'm like, man, that whole school starting time can't come quick enough, right? It can't come fast enough simply because I love spending time with them, but I don't get to do much of that during the work days anyway.
We're just about to do the same thing. We got a puppy coming home sometime around Labor Day. Haven't had a puppy since I was a little kid. So as an adult, I don't have a clue what I'm doing raising a puppy. This is going to be interesting. It's going to be fun.
Well, I'll tell you, Diesel, I've been fortunate enough that my life has happened in steps, in stages. I got the puppy first, right? Had the puppy for a couple of years. And then I became a teacher, Diesel. And when you're a teacher, you're like a part-time dad to 50 kids. And I felt like teaching taught me so much about parenting. Number one lesson I can teach you, Diesel, is don't ever let your puppy or your kids see you mad. Like if they see you mad, they've won. It shows it is far more intimidating to keep a level head and to deliver the brutal verdict.
Yeah, the problem is we're also getting one of the most highly intelligent breeds of dog you can get. So, they're like, people say these things are like velociraptors. We're getting a Doberman.
Yeah.
And people say these things are like velociraptors. They are smart. They know exactly what you're doing. They attempt to press buttons. They attempt to get around your boundaries and their training. So this is going to be fun to watch. And, I feel like it's going to be just like raising a kid.
Yeah.
And I say that because that really pisses off parents when you say things like, hey, having a dog, it's like the same as having a kid, right?
Not
really
quite,
upsets them.
But it teaches you something. And Diesel, like, when you have piss and crap on your floor, you're going to have smoke coming out of your ears. And when the dog damages something that you don't want it to damage, and she will, you're going to have smoke coming out of your ears. I'll never forget my puppy back in the day, Roxy. This was circa 2015, Diesel. I'm using my mouse at my computer. Suddenly the cursor isn't moving when I move the mouse anymore. I look under the table and she's bitten the wire off. She's sitting there with half the wire in her mouth and she's severed the wire. There goes the mouse. We'll never forget that. But I've had the puppy fatherhood. I've had the being a teacher fatherhood. And now I'm having the bonus dad fatherhood. Is a biological dad fatherhood in the works for me sometime in the future? I don't know. But you sure do appreciate school when you're trying to like do everything you can at home to get ready for your own job, and you got a 6-year-old and a puppy to take care of. Love them to death. But school is a very, very good thing. Very good thing. All right, 844-FAN phone. That's 844-FANFONE is the number you can get to us on the show. You guys can hit us on the text line as well at 71307. Now also broadcasting on YouTube. The Fan Upstate on YouTube. You'll see us right there on the show. Coming up on the show today, we may have a special guest coming up in the next segment. A crazy Carolina Panthers prediction. Is the current Clemson quarterback closer to this guy or that guy? We'll explain. I'll share my sit-down interview with Josh Pate of 24/7 Sports with you. The least healthy sport today in society is blank. We've got the top 5 at 5, how and why folks have forgotten to read. We have Can We Stop? And we have the Upstate's favorite bracket competition and you here on the most interactive sports radio show anywhere. But I'd like to open today with this. Nick Saban is in the news. And Nick Saban is getting heavily criticized. And I realized yesterday that, Diesel and I like to criticize people who lambast us for our posts without listening to the audio. It's always like you guys jump all over a post title. And did you listen to the audio? No. I'm not going to give you guys a click. Okay, well, then you can't really complain. And so I realized that we all kind of do that to a degree. That's the society we're in, right? Read and overreact, and Mark Ryan have a huge opinion, even if you haven't had time to form it yet.
I've caught myself starting to fire off, reading just the headline, and I got to stop. It's hard. It's really hard to stop yourself once you've started because you formulate this, I've got the best comeback. I've got the best gotcha response without actually having read the article. But you got to make yourself go back and read it. You got to understand what it is you're replying to, because very, very often the reason the person is upset is clearly addressed in the article or in the piece of audio. They just don't have a clue because they didn't even listen to it. There was a guy pissed off because Betsy Rawls, you didn't include Betsy Rawls in your Upstate's favorite thing. And I was like, yeah, well, she is. She's the 1 seed in another bracket, but it's not set yet. So I didn't post it. Oh, okay. Well, I'll just go back to standing in the corner then.
Yeah.
His words, not mine.
No, he did say that. And that happens, and it happens frequently.
Every day.
And the same thing is happening to Nick Saban right now, because Nick Saban was on the Joel Klatt podcast yesterday. And Josh Pate disagrees with him. Different people, different media personalities disagree with him. I've heard his comment called ludicrous, etc. And again, they're taking a bite without listening to the whole clip. I imagine, let's just see how this goes here, because what I've done is I've added a little bit more context to the clip that people are going nuts about. And what the clip that I'm about to share with you would not fit in the 280 characters that are only allowed in a tweet. So here is me adding a little bit more context, okay? Adding a little bit more than just the quote that'll fit in one tweet. What Nick Saban told Joel Klatt yesterday. They had a discussion. Joel was asking him about parity in college football. And he said, you're one of the most dominant teams. Does college football need more parity? Nick Saban was going into, look, the NFL would love it if you're 8-8. Everyone's 8-8, because then in the final week of the year, every fan base is into it. He said, I don't think you can really do parity in college football like that unless you broke 60-something teams off into their own. You only had college football as a few leagues, and then you could introduce parity measures. But I don't think you could really do it like that, and it spawned kind of Nick Saban going into parity, what the SEC has been, what the SEC is going to be, and then he will get to the soundbite that is setting everybody off. Here's St. Nick.
But I think even in the SEC, when you add Texas and Oklahoma, there's going to be more parity because there's probably going to be 6, 7 teams ranked in the top 20 that are going to be playing each other. So, but the problem with the way the whole system is, there's no accounting for that.
Right.
So all we do is take the teams that win the most games at the end of the year and put them in the playoffs. But do you really get the best teams? You know, when they told me that we would be favored against 3 out of the 4 teams that got in the playoffs, I'm like, well, why aren't we in the playoffs?
Sure.
Does that mean they have a better team? Or does it mean that those people don't know what they're talking about? I really don't know that. But, and I'm not being critical of anybody, but if you're going to have parity, you have to have a better way of figuring out who has the best teams. Not just because you lose 2 games on the last play of the game.
Yeah.
That knocks you out when you may be better than somebody else who didn't have the same circumstances that they had to play in.
So a couple things, say Nick. Number one, all right, I am largely going to defend Nick Saban here. But you can't do that without covering both sides of this. The first point is, Nick, you were a 14.5-point favorite against LSU. You lost that game, okay? It's not always about who is the favorite. You know, if it was, Vegas would be setting the lines for all the games, and we would just not play the games. We'll just go by what Vegas says. You know, Vegas had the Miami Heat, as a 300-1 odd to win the NBA championship. They were tied 1-1 with Denver going home for 2 games in the NBA Finals. Las Vegas had the Denver Nuggets as an 11-1 shot to win the championship. Let me break that down for you. Las Vegas said there's a 91% chance Denver's not going to win the championship. They did. Las Vegas said there's 6 teams with better odds to win the championship than the Denver Nuggets. So you can't just go by what Las Vegas says. Nick Saban says it should be the 4 best teams. And I think what is going to be amazing about this playoff, Diesel, is that we're all going to be biting each other's faces off, because the SEC fans are going to know that 9-3 LSU is better than 11-1 Cincinnati out of the Big 12. They're going to know it. And then they're going to go to Vegas, and Vegas is going to say LSU would be favored by 12 points against Cincinnati on a neutral field. And then the committee is going to be like, well, what do we do? Do we go by the team with the better record? You know, and it's the dumbest thing ever, man. The dumbest thing ever is, and you'll hear Josh Pate say this, and I'm going to steal it from him, is you are what your record is, because it's no longer apples to apples in college football, man. You know it.
The only way to achieve parity in college football is to fundamentally change how and why players end up at a particular school. Right now, it's all about who can be the prettiest girl, who can be the belle of the ball, who can get the hottest date, right? We're building multi-million-dollar facilities and practice facilities and locker rooms and recording studios so these guys can come in and make their rap albums when they're not out there running routes. That is how you attract the best possible talent to come to your school. The only way to achieve real parity is to take the choice of where the kid goes out of the kid's hands. So if the answer is take the 60 best programs in college football, assuming what real parity is what you want, you have to take the 60 biggest brands that literally any kid would say, yeah, I want to go to that school. I'd be fine going to that school, that school, that school, that school. And then you let them draft. That's the only way to do it. But unless you're willing to break 60 teams off and have a draft and have the 60th team in that ranking get the best player in college coming out of high school football, you're going to have to let that kid go to University of North Texas, or you're going to have to let him go to Abilene Christian, or you're going to have to let him go to Tulane or to Toledo. That's how you achieve parity in college football. You want the best possible talent. You want to go to the worst possible team, right? So the worst team in college football gets the best players. That's how you get real parity in college football, but nobody would ever sign off on that. Not the schools, not the coaches, not the fans, not the players. So parity in college football is a pipe dream. It's not a real thing.
I had never before even thought of or considered a draft for 4 and 5-star players. And you immediately realize why it hasn't happened. And it's because they're selecting their institution for higher learning,
Takes away choice.
for the career that they want to have in life. But Diesel, we have been losing the guise of student athletes for quite some time here. You know, when the Big Ten adds UCLA and USC, you can't tell me they care about the student athletes when they're flying from coast to coast on a weeknight to play a road game. You can't tell me that matters. So if we are flushing the idea of a student athlete, and if these football players are about to become employees, right, salaried employees, at that point, I don't know why you couldn't have a draft. And you got all these best players and who's going to take whom and what are you going to do with your first round pick? I wonder, ladies and gentlemen, if we are potentially headed in that direction.
Well, just imagine if the number one recruit in college football goes to, and I'm just going to pick a random name out of the ether because I'm guessing this team would be around 60, Kansas State. The number one, if Kansas State needs a quarterback, the best quarterback in coming out of high school is going to Kansas State. That's how you achieve real parity, but you have to pay him a lot of money to be happy about going to Manhattan, Kansas. When you're saying, man, I could have gone to Miami, Florida. I could have gone to Los Angeles, California, played for USC.
Maybe that's what Nick Saban was talking about when he said, if you got the teams from the power conferences, 60 teams or whatever, and you got them all under the same umbrella, then you could introduce measures that would create parity. Maybe one of those measures is a draft, because those are the teams that could afford, like if you had the number one pick, he would be paid the most, right? And
Yeah.
you'd have a slotted system. But again, all of this removes choice of the athlete, and choice has always been important because 98.4% of these guys are not going to go to the NFL, and you should go to a school that is really good at your chosen vocation or what you want to do, Diesel, and that prohibits your chance to do just that.
I don't want real parity in college football because elite programs are fun to watch. Dynasties are fun to watch. Alabama's dynasty and their ability to sustain excellence for the period of time that they have is fun to watch. Clemson's dynasty was fun to watch, is fun to watch. You know, don't get mad at me. Don't throw pointy objects at me, Clemson fans. Real parity to me is just everybody having a chance to go out and win and compete at the highest level. So to me, and my fandom's concern, now that the group of five has a shot, has a guaranteed slot to get into the playoff, everyone has a clearly defined path to get into the playoff. That's literally all I can ask for, and that's all I want. That's all I've ever wanted is for my school and schools at the same level of mine, even those competing at the elitist level of that division, to have a chance to get in and prove themselves.
All right, folks, coming up next on the show, we might, maybe, potentially be having a special guest. We will see if that comes to fruition. That's next here on the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides, Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate. What's good, everybody? This is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel. We are the fan upstate. Well, I'll tell you what, man. I am excited to have on our next guest. He hails from Central Catholic High School out of Lawrence, Massachusetts, and he just happens to be the next in the long line of great Clemson quarterback commitments. 4-star quarterback from the 2025 class committed last week to the Clemson Tigers. Actually, 4 days ago, Blake Hebert joins us right now on Offsides, the fan upstate. Blake, it is great to meet you, man. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
I can already tell, Blake, that your voice sounds very, very mature for your age. Have you been told that before?
Yeah, I have.
That's incredible. So, Blake, after your football career is done, what do you want to do?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm thinking about football right now first. So, obviously, with my earning education, maybe get something done there. Or, I don't know, maybe own a gym, something, stay in football, coach, maybe something like that.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So, you are entering your junior year of high school. Is that correct?
Right.
You're entering your junior year. What's it like, man? You know, Diesel and I, my producer, can't relate to getting all these letters and all of this attention that you've gotten. You were offered by Notre Dame, Penn State, Clemson, among others. What's that like to get all of that attention freshman and sophomore year? And then what's it like to have the decision made and have it behind you?
Oh, to have all these offers, it's definitely nice to have those opportunities to go all over the country. But at the end of the day, it's all about football. So kind of have to keep my head screwed on straight and, just worry about my high school football team right now. And then also being committed is nice just to kind of know where I'm going to land, and start building that further in that relationship right now.
Blake, what do you see as the identity of your high school football team this season? Are you guys going to be a much more of a vertical pass threat? Where does your skill set lie, and where do you think your big opportunities are this season?
Yeah, our team's pretty well-rounded. We got a good run game. We do some stuff with some read option stuff, and then our pass game's definitely good, and it's been developing. Last season it developed really well, and we graduated some receivers, but we got some young guys who are developing really well. So I think we'll have a lot of success in every aspect of the game.
Blake Hebert joining us out of Massachusetts, Clemson's most recent quarterback commitment, 4 stars in the class of 2025. Blake, upon doing some research on you, I've read a lot of really nice things about you. Seems like everybody's got a ton of nice things to say about you, Blake, which is always cool. It's interesting to me. I've seen so many differing ratings on your game, Blake. I've seen you as a 3-star, and then I've seen you as a 4-star, written as a potential to be a 5-star. I get the sense that the recruiting services don't fully have the book on you yet. Why do you think that is?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, I haven't really looked at my ratings too much, so I don't know. I can't speak much on that, but obviously everybody's going to have their different opinions. So I think personally, my film and what I do on the field speaks for itself. So however people want to rate me, that's up to them.
Blake, it's obvious, just in the first few minutes of our conversation here that you've got an awful lot of humility. That's a great quality to have. What do you actively do to keep yourself humble?
I think the people around me are the ones who really keep me humble. My parents are obviously great at that, and my friends as well. So, I know that I've been around people who aren't very humble, and I just think having that humility and staying humble is definitely the way to go.
Blake Hebert joining us here on the show. Blake, can you bring us into your decision to go to Clemson, to choose Clemson over the likes of Notre Dame, Penn State? Guys, when you look at Blake Hebert's page here, you realize it's a who's who list in terms of teams that have offered him. Auburn has offered him as well. So has North Carolina. So has Nebraska. So has Ole Miss. Both Virginia schools have offered Blake Hebert. So what jumped off the page to you about Dabo Swinney and Clemson, Blake?
when I was down there, it just felt different than all the other schools I've been to. And afterwards, I went on a couple visits, and I was just kind of trying to compare it to Clemson. So really, it was just the feeling that I had when I was there, and the culture that I can see pretty obviously that they've built over the years there. And then to go along with that, the coaching staff's awesome. I got along with everybody in the building, and some of the guys I would talk to, I got along with them really well. So it was just everything was awesome.
Can you speak a little bit more, Blake? Can you elaborate on what specifically is different about Clemson? Because honestly, we've heard that. People say that, right? The family vibe, the family atmosphere, it's different at Clemson. What specifically jumped out to you where it's like, this is different, but in a very good way?
Yeah. So as you said, that family kind of vibe, I spent probably four hours with Coach Sweeney alone. And, we didn't really talk about football, to be honest with you. We just talked about life, and, he was asking a bunch of questions, asking my mom a bunch of questions, my dad. And, we didn't get that a lot of other places. A lot of other places was just football, X's and O's, which we did do some of that. It was awesome because that's football, but it was deeper than that.
Blake, besides, the smoke and the mirrors and the things that people who have never been recruited as a high school athlete think that kids are attracted to when it comes to recruiting visits, things like the LED lights in the locker rooms and some of the frivolous things, without getting specific as to what school had which items, what did you value across your recruiting visits? Like what sort of intangibles did you look at and say, all right, this is impressive what this program does or what that program does?
Yeah. I'm a person who definitely looks past all the, the photo shoots and the lights and all the smoke and mirrors. But I don't know, just with Clemson, with a lot of other schools, they would, that's kind of the thing that they would throw at me first was like, whoa, like, look at all this. We have, as you said, the lights, the smoke and the mirrors, all that. Clemson was like, all right, this is us. This is who we are. And, they're just kind of more authentic.
Blake Hebert joining us here on the show. Blake, Dabo is known for asking people such as yourself not to commit unless you're done with the visits. It's essentially like a committed relationship, like a girlfriend-boyfriend. Right. Don't commit unless you're willing to stop dating. And so, Clemson, oftentimes the classes in terms of the rankings and such are a little bit slow because different people want to date openly. They want to visit other schools. You committed very, very early. Was that a challenge for you to be able to say, no, I'm willing to shut it down right now, Coach, because Dabo is one of the only guys who does that, who asks that of you?
Right. No, for me, it wasn't challenging at all. I mean, I knew ever since I stepped foot on campus, when I got that scholarship opportunity, it felt different than the others. So it wasn't a challenge for me at all. I was ready to just go all in and, kind of close my recruitment down.
Now, Blake, where do you see that your game and your skill set has really leapt as far as improvement lately? And where do you still think that you have room to improve?
I think my arm has gotten a lot stronger since last season. I put on, I think, 7 or 8 pounds just from the season, and I'm looking to put on maybe 5 to 7 more. So my overall strength, the ball's been flying out a little better. And then I've been watching a lot of film just in the off season just to keep in tune. So my X's and O's have definitely got better in my football knowledge that way. And then I think for improvements, I think I can improve in every part of my game. I don't think anything's perfect at all. I don't think anybody's perfect, but I don't think anything in my game's perfect. I think I can improve upon everything.
Blake Hebert, Clemson's newest quarterback commitment, blue chipper, 2025 class, 4 stars, joining us here on Offsides, the Fan Upstate. Blake, did you just turn 16? Is that right?
I just turned 17.
You just turned 17. Okay. Blake, how long have you wanted to do this? Can you speak about kind of your passion for the sports and what you do to prevent getting burnt out from it all?
Yeah. So my dad played football. He was a high school football player. He was a quarterback, and then he played Division II football. And then he played in the Arena League down in Arkansas for the Arkansas Twisters. So ever since I was little, I guess kids just want to be like their dads, right? So I always had dreams of playing football. And then, you know, when I started growing up a little bit, maybe when I was 8, I could remember, you know, just watching those big college football games, and I was kind of sat back. I was like, wow, like I'm going to do that. So it's cool to have that all unfold. Obviously, I still have a lot left to do. I got 2 more high school seasons, but it's cool to, you know, that I'm on that path. And then with the whole burnout thing, I don't see myself burning out at all. I love the game, and I love everything that comes with it.
Blake, where's your mindset right now as far as patience? Once you, I know this is still 2 years away, once you get on campus, obviously everybody wants to play right away, but there are some quality guys who are a few years older than you, are going to be a few years older than you on the roster. What are your opinions on your willingness to be patient once you get on campus?
Yeah, those quarterbacks are great. Obviously, they're in the position that they're in. So when I get there the next 2 seasons, you know, I'm focused on those right now. But when I do get there, I'm just gonna work my hardest, and I'm gonna play whenever I'm meant to play, whenever the coaches think it's right.
You know, Blake, there's a lot of guys out there who, you know, for example, I went to the University of Florida, Blake, and my school just lost a quarterback commitment for the following year, 2025, your year, because they said, well, Florida really wants the guy in 2024. And so you see, like, each recruit has a different priority. I knew this about you, Blake, before we spoke, that you weren't at all afraid of this competition. So why do you think that some guys, you sign another quarterback, they go somewhere else, whereas you did, Blake, in my opinion, did the right thing? You picked the school, and you have confidence in yourself that you can deal with competition. Why does that vary so much from athlete to athlete?
I don't know. Personally, for me, I think everything in life is going to be competition, in business and, you know, and everything. So I think if I get competing at a young age, I think it'll help me later on in life. But I also love competition. I've always, you know, I have an older brother, so we compete. Everything we do, my dad, these ping pong games get pretty competitive. So, no, but I love the competition. So, I'm ready to go and compete.
Blake, what is your so ping pong is kind of my jam too, man. I got to serve, Blake. If I can get to a ping pong table, I'll send you a quick video of my serve. Okay, it's kind of a sidewinder. What is your go-to ping pong move, man? Like, do you have a master serve or a spike, or like, what is your strength there?
Yeah, I got a pretty deep bag, so I don't know what my biggest strength is, but I can keep the ball on the table pretty well.
He's a deep bag. So defense is your strength.
Translation, I'm not telling you in case I ever face you.
Well, we're going to face.
Exactly.
Blake,
you never know.
Blake, I'm telling you what, man. We're at the Clemson Media. They do a Clemson Media Day every year. And
okay.
Diesel and I go down there, and they let us play. I'm sure you've seen the Players Lounge. They let us play the games in the golf simulator and the ping pong table. So, Blake,
right.
you and I, someday in the future, we've got a date on that ping pong table, man. And so,
awesome.
So hopefully you won't use my own serve against me, my man. All right.
I might have to go get working on it right now.
Blake Hebert, Clemson commit for the 2025 class. Blake, I want to ask one more question of you. I want to give you an opportunity to talk about your extended sports family, your immediate family, those around you, coaching staff there in high school. Who do you really owe your best life lessons to?
I think to start off with my dad. As I said, he was a football player. He played a little bit of pro ball. So he's obviously taught me a lot about the game, but also a lot about life and just being a man and growing up to be a good man. So definitely him. And also Coach Sexton, he was my offensive coordinator. So now he just got bumped up to head coach. He's taught me so much again about the game, but also about just being a good person. Honestly, I could take something from everyone around me, my mom, my brother, my grandfather. My grandfather I think that's where I get my competitive streak from. He was a professional boxer. He started boxing, I think, when he was 10. So he runs a boxing club now. So I go there, I compete there. So I think, everybody around me, I could definitely give props to. So there's too many names to really name. He's
a boxer. He's a ping pong player. And he's a heck of a quarterback. Any visions of going down the boxing route at one point in your life, Blake?
When I was younger, I had, those dreams of, getting in the ring. But right now, I just train, hit the bag, hit the speed bag, jump rope, shadow box, all that.
There you go. Blake, I got to tell you, man, I think you sound like a really impressive young man, and it's really good to meet you. I know you're going to be down here in a couple of years, and we look forward to meeting you in person. I think you made a really, really good choice for yourself, and I wish you the best in terms of having a great summer and an awesome junior and senior seasons. We'll keep up with you, man. Great to meet you. Congratulations on your decision. Thanks so much for the time today.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
All right, take care. Blake Hebert, 6'3", 205, class of 2025. What jumps out to me right away, Diesel? Great head on his shoulders. Obviously, really good family. Really good family, a lot of support. He kind of intimated that who he is a reflection of influences he's gotten from so many different people in his life. He's got a diverse set of skills. He's got a quiet confidence to him. And if I'm a Clemson fan and I hear that, I'm very, very excited about what we've got coming down the pike.
What's going to be interesting also is to see how some of his other skill sets, particularly the boxing, translates to playing as a quarterback. You have the ability to see things in split-second timing and to get out of the way, avoid them, counter them. And obviously, if he does a lot of full contact boxing, a man knows how to take a hit. So that might help. That might help playing in the ACC.
Oh, it might help indeed. And look, you've got Cade Klubnik in front of you, right? You've got Christopher Vizina in front of you. And all of these things, Diesel, like Cade Klubnik, has multiple years left in front of him. Christopher Vizina is going to be a true freshman and perhaps the backup quarterback who may or may not be able to redshirt this year. And so, Blake is setting himself up to potentially have a couple years as the starter going into his junior year, which might be 4 years from right now. But you never know. Like Deshaun Watson was so good, he was pressed into duty right away. Trevor Lawrence was so good, he was pressed into duty right away. If you haven't seen Blake Hebert, ladies and gentlemen, like I clicked on like his pictures and his bios here on 24/7 Sports. And what I can tell you, man, is he very much looks the part. Very, very much looks the part. Very much looks the part. 6'3", 205. They've got a lot of pictures of him throwing, and he looks like he could compete at the college level right now. Remember, that was the big concern about Cade Klubnik. Man, he's small. He's got to get in the weight room. He's got to get with a nutritionist. He's really thin. Blake Hebert, 6'3", 205 right now. Right now. And so what he's got are the things that you can't teach. And then beyond that, he sounds like he's got a really, really good family background that's going to take him really far.
I was fascinated to hear his answer on his mindset around patience, because nobody has patience. No incoming 4-star, and by then he could be a 5-star quarterback. Who knows? His mentality and his mindset on being patient. All of the top schools have highly ranked quarterbacks and highly ranked players coming in. So anybody that's got the willingness to be patient and to be a part of the system until it's their turn to be the guy, that's the kind of player that I want.
I'm going to show you a picture of he and his mom here, Diesel. Does he not look the part already?
Yeah.
Does he not? Like, he looks the part already.
Yeah. Big arm, big square jaw for a 17-year-old. Yeah. He's going to continue to grow. And if his goal is to put on another 5 or 6, imagine, having your metabolism down to a T. So yeah, my goal is to gain 5 pounds. Like, I could gain 5 pounds like that, but it would not be the right 5 pounds, and it would not go to the right place.
Well, I gained 5 pounds last weekend. It's no issue at all. All right, my friends, what did you make of that interview? Blake Hebert joining us on the show today. Clemson's newest commitments in their 2025 class, an exclusive that you'll hear only right here on the Fan Upstate. Coming up next on the show, the least healthy sport in the sporting landscape today is blank. That's next. This is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides, Mark Ryan and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate. It's Offsides, Mark Ryan and Diesel. We are the Fan Upstate. Fantastic to have you guys with us here on the show. And I want to share this with you. So 6 o'clock yesterday, we did Onsides or Offsides. And, look, we see the data. Our audience changes every 15 minutes, right? Some of you might be aware of the fact that oftentimes we will replay our best interview of the day in the 6 o'clock hour. And the reason we do that is we want you guys to hear our best interview of the day. And 95% of your audience is not able to listen for the full 4 hours. We love those and respect those who can. But those who cannot, right, are still those who do listen to all 4 hours are still getting 11 out of 12 unique segments every single day, right? Fresh and live and new. We like to replay that interview for you. But I will tell you this. We did this yesterday at 6 o'clock, and I wanted to bring it into the 3 o'clock audience today. And it was my onsides or offsides, and I still don't know that I have Diesel's answer on it, okay? And that is, I'm watching the College Baseball World Series with my wife, and it's Friday. And I've got on Florida against Virginia, and I was in a bum mood because at the time, Virginia was winning 4-2, like in the bottom of the 8th inning. And the inning ends. They're going to the dugout, and she sees the coach do something. Angela sees the coach do something, and it didn't even occur to me. And she goes, babe, how do you feel about all of the butt slapping? I just saw like the manager slapping butts going off the field. And I said, I freaking hate it. I hate it. And like, I have like, when you play intramurals in college or something, like college mates, dorm mates would do that to you. And the crazy thing is, you're not allowed to touch anybody anymore, anywhere. That's the first thing you lose when you learn when you're a teacher. Don't touch anybody anywhere. But in the sports scene, you're actually allowed to touch another guy's ass. Like you're just allowed to slap them on the backside. And Diesel, I'm not about to go all politically correct on you, okay? Because I don't really care about it I don't really think anyone's being violated by that, okay? I'm not that soft. I just hate it largely because I don't care to have my ass slapped, okay? Really. I like to do the ass slapping. I do not like to receive the ass slapping. And that's my personal preference. So I wanted to ask you guys, the butt slap that is pervasive in sports, is it onsides or offsides? Did you guys ever feel like I did, like, all right, man, like, was that really necessary? Diesel, you looked it up yesterday too.
Yeah. So it's meant to be motivational. It's like saying, come on, man, let's go do this. Little pat on the butt, little slap on the butt. It's it's a jolt. It's supposed to wake you up. That's the point. It's just supposed to be motivational. I guess in modern times, if more and more athletes said this ain't cool, you just go to the coach and say, Coach, don't do that. Please don't do that. Like it doesn't have to be that big a deal to go to a coach and say, Coach, don't touch me there. I'm surprised that in today's modern political parlance and times, we haven't seen whole athletic departments or athletic systems like high school conferences, coaching conferences, and organizations from a state by state level saying, look, guys, we're going to make a rule across the state. Don't touch your players like that. Don't slap your players on the butt. Like can't be doing that. It's 2023. Can't be doing that anymore. And eventually, it just becomes, what's the opposite of normalized? It phased out. It becomes phased out over time. But look, I don't know, man. I think if it bugs you that much, then it's a you thing. It's not a sports thing. It's not a inappropriate touching thing. That's a you thing, and deal with it. That's all I can say. Deal with it.
Yeah. So, I just am saying that it's offsides, and I don't like it, but it's not offsides because it's gross.
You can always Karen out and
Yeah.
go to the South Carolina High School Players Association or Coaches Associations and say, I don't think you should do that anymore.
No, I don't care that much, Lisa.
There you go.
I really don't care that as much. But I will tell you this: I always tried to move out of the way before that happened to me. I always tried to move out of the way. Texter says Marque didn't play sports. Well, clearly that wasn't me because he spelled it Marq. And obviously I did play sports, Texter, because I'm well aware with how often that happens. And I'm well aware how often that happens to me. And I'm not saying, again, I was violated or anything. It's just, don't touch my ass. You know what I mean? Like, don't touch my ass.
Did you have a problem with it at the time when you were in high school? Did you even think about it?
I didn't like it. Yeah,
okay. Yes, you did have a problem.
I remember just always not liking it. But I'm curious, guys, what is the rule? What are the rules about the butt slap? Okay, like what are the rules about that? Simply put, there can never be anything that even feels like a 1% grab there. Okay, it's got to be totally open palm. If there is a grab, now we're going to have a confrontation.
I guess it's kind of like going to the bathroom and you finished what you're doing and you shake it a little bit. Like at some point, you know how many times you can shake it before it's playing with it, right? So you just know. One time, okay. Two, you're good. Three, starting to get a little, starting to have a little fun here. 4 times, come on, dude. Get out of the way. Other people need to go to the bathroom as well. It's kind of like Congress's definition of pornography. Well, it's hard to define, but you know it when you see it.
Yeah, this isn't pornography, and it's not abuse. It's not Joe Paterno or Jerry Sandusky or anything like that. But if I'm going by the text line, all I can deduce is that we have a bunch of offsiders who love to have their ass slapped by another man. That's all I can deduce. You enjoy that. Congratulations. Look, I didn't care who you like to have your ass slapped by yesterday. I don't care who you like to have your ass slapped by today. You are entitled to have your ass slapped by whomever you want your ass slapped by. I'm just saying, don't slap my ass. Okay? There is exactly one person who is allowed to touch my ass, pinch my ass. Okay? Ask me a question. There's exactly one person who's allowed to do that. And it ain't you. So if you guys all like your asses being grabbed, then go grab ass one another, okay? But keep your filthy paws off my silky drawers. I'm Mark Ryan, and I approve this message. Thank you very much.
I think we're in an age where people are overanalyzing everything. And when you're talking about, 2 kids, and by kids, I'm talking about of age athletes, horse playing around. And then you start to say, well, that kind of looks kind of sexual and weird. Why are they doing that? Ugh, stop doing that. That is a you problem. It's not that big a deal to them, to the athletes. It's not that big a deal to the coaches. I don't know. Avert your eyes. That's all I can say. If it bugs you that much, avert your eyes. Or stop watching the sport.
What do you guys think? 71307 on the text line is where you can get to us. And feel free to chime in on all of the above. Coming up next, the least healthy sport in all of the sporting landscape today is blank. We will fill in the gaps for you next, right here on Offsides. We are the Fan Upstate. What's good, everybody? This is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate, rolling on until 7 p.m. today. Genuinely appreciate you making us part of your day. Here's how you can take part in what we've got cooking. You can give us a ring at 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-FANFONE. That's 844-326-3663 is a number to get to us on the show. Let's see what you guys are chiming in about on the text line. Texter says, man, I was working on something and had to turn the radio off. By the way, Turn the Radio Off is the album name from one of my favorite bands ever. All right? Quiz to you guys. Who is the band? All right? The album name is Turn the Radio Off. Don't look it online. Don't look it up online. Who is it? Who has the album? All right? Let's see here. Was working on something, had to turn the radio off, turn it back on. The first thing I hear is Mark saying, I love having my ass slapped. LMAO. I don't think you heard that right, Chris. What has happened here? Show me on the doll where soft culture hurt you. Sports has let's see. Texter says, you never heard Michael Sam complain about a butt slap. See what you did there, Texter? I see what you did there. I never did hear that. Texter says, sports has unwritten rules that everybody just knows. It's kind of like that, I think. It's just something that they do. Okay, but there's a lot of things that people do that we shouldn't do. We still lick envelopes too. It's dumb.
A lot of people drive without ever using turn signals.
A Gamecock guy coming into work today did that very thing for me, Diesel, and he kept evolving over into my lane without ever using a signal. And I was like, you Gamecock, what are you doing? There's a signal on your car for a reason.
Yeah, it blows me away that with all the modern safety advancements we have in cars, that there are manufacturers out there not installing turn signals on people's cars.
I'm going to tell you guys
crazy.
If I was a police officer and I see a non-signal from any of you, it's an instant $500 fine. 500 bones.
What's more annoying, the no signal or the very last split-second signal?
Well, at least they tried.
No,
at least they tried.
No, yeah. That's somebody who knows they're supposed to be using a turn signal, but then just doesn't do it until the last second. It doesn't help me at all. It's a signal is supposed to give me advance notice of your intention. You're not supposed to turn your 40-mile-an-hour rocket and then use the signal. That doesn't do me any good.
So riddle me this. Which fan base is the worst drivers of the two?
Oh, man.
Okay. Which fan base is Clemson or South Carolina? Which has the worst drivers? Now, I want you guys, this is a lame question if all of you guys are going to do is just vote along the party lines. It's a lame question. What I can tell you is, bar none, that Florida State, and Miami fans are worse than you guys. All right, worse than you. Here in South Carolina, we have the most forgiving police service I've ever seen. I witnessed acts my first week here that would have been instantly ticketed in Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
Instantly. And it's just like my first week here, it's like, anyone see that? Like, dude's just like rolling through the red light. Here,
I've watched them do it right in front of a cop, and the cop doesn't care. Like police in the audience. There has to be at least one police officer listening to us right now. Statistically, there has to be at least one.
Yeah, there are.
Please text into the show. Please call into the show and explain to us why these obvious, constant, and egregious traffic violations that could fill your quota in a day are never, ever enforced.
Well, I think it's a numbers issue, Diesel. Like per capita, there were police officers on every corner in Houston. I just don't see that here. Like, people run red lights here with impunity. Like, there's nothing that's going to happen to me, and you notice it right away. Like, when you don't live here and you move here, you're like, guys, again, I got 3 tickets in about a 1.5 year span when I lived in Houston. And it was because Houston was a shock to me police-wise the other way. You know, it was just like, these guys are everywhere. You're like, what? One of the tickets was I was going 29 in a 20 school zone, you know? And I'm like, they ticket you for going 29 here. Okay. I thought the saying was 9, you're fine, and 10, you're mine in terms of miles over the speed limit. Guess not. But I'll echo Diesel's sentiment when it comes to signaling. If you do not signal, okay, may your football team lose every game of the coming season. If you just evolve over into my lane, may you lose every game. Who has worse drivers, ladies and gentlemen, Clemson or South Carolina? All right. Diesel, do we dare put this on the poll?
If we do, you know what we're going to have. Oh, must be a slow news day. Clearly scraping the bottom of the barrel in the offseason. Like, people, they don't have any concept of when you're just being silly and asking a facetious question. You know, that's the whole point. It's just to have fun with it. Oh, you hack journalists.
So we've got a lot of Clemson fans saying that it's obviously South Carolina. And then we've got South Carolina fans saying that every driver in South Carolina is bad. So from the early return, Diesel, it looks like South Carolina has worse drivers because the Gamecock fans are saying it's everybody that's the problem. And Clemson fans are saying, no, it's clearly them that are the problem.
Yeah.
So let me go ahead and get to this here in this segment. All right. I was floored by this, guys, and maybe you can help me understand where the disconnect is. But I found myself, so the way our show, the divvying up of work responsibilities goes is like I plan the show, right? I plan the topics. I lead us into most of the stuff, and here's how we're going to do it. And I give Diesel a lot of the audio that I want to run for segments, and Diesel will give me audio clips. And then Diesel will take the segments and he'll package them nicely and put them on social media. And so I found myself jumping to the defense. People always think it's me posting these, but that would be a miracle, folks. How do I host and post at the exact same time? That's not even possible. So Diesel makes the posts that you see on social media. If you go to Facebook and see our show posts, Diesel does those. If you go on Twitter, Diesel does those. And people were jumping all over a post Diesel had from yesterday, and I don't understand why. I don't get the why. All right? Like, here is the post. All right? Now, follow along with me, and let's see if we can't confirm that just the fact that people have forgotten to read. They've forgotten how to read, Diesel. Here we go. Shane Beamer and South Carolina recruiting were on fire in April. That is true. That is a true statement, right? They were on fire in April. But the Gamecocks haven't received a commitment from a blue chip recruit in almost 2 months. Yeah, from late April through June 19th, there have been no blue chip commitments. That is also a true statement, right? That's true. Then the question is asked, is there a cause for concern, or are big things on the horizon? Is there a cause for concern that the big blue chip recruits have stopped coming in, or are big things on the horizon? That is a question. We end the post by asking a question. A question is not a statement. Nowhere did Diesel say South Carolina is screwed. They haven't gotten a blue chip recruit in 2 months. Shane Beamer sucks. They haven't gotten a blue chip recruit in 2 months. Nowhere was that said.
But that's what they read. That's what they all read into that without reading the entire post. There's only 147 characters, Mark. It's not like we're asking people to read a 6-paragraph article to find the one little tidbit of news. It's 147 characters, and people are too lazy to read that.
So I want to share with you, Diesel, some of this, okay? Because one guy said it's now up to 41,000 views. One guy said 12,500 views and 15 likes, and he's crying because he's laughing. So now we're engagement shaming. By the way, this guy, Sandstorm Sentinel, has 63 followers and has never had a tweet that has been seen by 12,500 people. Palmer King, hangnail survivor, funny name, says, hey, Mark, if you ever need anyone with an actual sports mind on the show, please call my people. We're only a short drive away from the studio. It's June. We're about to get 4 blue chippers by the end of June. Let's see here. A Clemson fan. Just like when you said a few months back, Clemson recruiting is not good enough, It's way too early to be bragging about in April about recruiting classes. U of SC should know by now how this ends up. The Black Wolf says, well, there it is, the dumbest bleeping thing I have read all day. Why? Well, like, why is it dumb? We're asking, okay, everyone else, like South Carolina was number 5 in the recruiting rankings. They're now number 16, okay? They went from the highest recruiting class you've had since the Spurrier years to just another Will Muschamp level class. That's where they're ranked now, just another Will Muschamp level class. And I'm not saying there's reason for panic, but the Post didn't say there's reason for panic. All right? Like Gamecock Network said, this is the dumbest bleep that I've seen. Why? And then Diesel, I'll bring this into you. Okay, there have been 12 quote tweets on this. Okay, 12 quotes. Somebody said Mark Ryan right now, and he shows me having Tony Snell's stat line with no points, no rebounds, no assists, and no steals. I reported this guy, Diesel. This guy named Goose with a fake name. He said, I am outside your house with a gun. I reported that because he said it to, not to me, he said it to everyone at the Fan Upstate. So I reported that to Twitter. See, like, you guys don't believe we get this stuff, right? My 2-year-old has more of a pulse on South Carolina than this wannabe. Like, Diesel, what is the offensive statement here? What are they not reading? Where is the failure of reading comprehension? Because we stated 2 facts and we asked a question. Where is the failure here?
Yeah, it's people don't like what they're reading, so they fly off the handle. They don't take the time to understand the nuance. They don't even take time to understand what it is they're upset about. They just pull the typical angry bird.
What is he saying? Does he offer a insult?
Key part, what is he saying? Meaning you don't even know what you're angry about. You're just angry for no reason. And you allow yourself to get to a point that shows so little class that you're saying, I'm standing outside of your house with a gun.
Yeah.
The hell is wrong with you?
Yeah, Diesel, but that's not it. I have one, and I've got to what? Okay. I have one that says this N-word is the R word that means mentally challenged, right? The R word. This N-word is R word that means mentally challenged. This other girl, Nikki, these are girls here, okay? He knows nothing. Is she talking about you or me? You wrote the post. Okay. What was she talking about? He knows nothing. He's not even allowed close to the program. Why would he know anything? Well, Nikki, I'll have you know that your university just sent us a lot of nice stuff in the mail.
Or is she talking about Chris Phillips, because he's the one who responded to the question?
Chandler Norville said 30,000 views, 30 likes. Great. Chandler, show me your post with 30,000 views. Fudacris, another guy with a fake name. You are terrible at your job. Chan says rent-free. Like, guys, I don't get, is reading comprehension really that bad? Where you can list 2 facts and ask a question, and you ask a question and people are so panties in a twist about it?
Well, I want to save this for Can We Stop? But this is a great example to add to my list of grievances with how we behave on Twitter as sports fans. It's the people who just keep regurgitating the same things over and over and over and over again. It's unoriginal. You're not actually responding to the content of the post. It's the people who just respond with an emoji or a GIF, who don't actually add anything to the conversation. I never respond to those people. I will respond to the people who can engage and debate me. If you don't like my point and you think you have something that intelligently refutes my point, let's have a conversation. That's great. That's what the internet is supposed to be for. But there's so many people are so lazy. It's almost like you imagine they have a Word document on their phone, or like a note on their phone, or a Word document on their laptop with the same old generic responses that they send to everyone.
Oh, yeah. And it's like the same canned stuff. And the new one, because they show you the analytics of your tweet now, Diesel, the new one is they tell you how many likes you have.
Constantly. Yeah.
And it's just like, Okay, great. Well, we reached 30,000 people. Each time we get one of those, Diesel, it's reached 15,000 more people than the last time.
Thank you for being one of the people who responded, retweeted, liked, replied, or viewed the post. We appreciate every single one of you.
All right, let's check in and see what you guys are saying on the text line. Next time someone goes to slap your ass, just tell them to kiss it. I played football, but I never smacked anybody's ass. Shoulder pads and helmet slaps got the point across. Same reason I only use shotgun snaps if I play quarterback. Yeah, the whole like hands under your ass thing at quarterback. Come on, man. It's 2023. We don't have a better way to snap the football than to have your hand under my cheeks.
Question, doesn't a helmet slap? And I imagine sometimes you smack somebody in the helmet, not lightly. Don't those all add up to like low-grade concussions? Isn't it a really stupid thing to smack somebody in the head?
The headbutt is the dumbest thing.
The headbutt, the helmet slap, those are really stupid. You know, the brain is a piece of soft tissue floating around in a skull. It's not a smart idea to apply more hits to a head that you don't absolutely have to take.
Texter says, I'm going to show up to a remote show, slide in for a dude hug, which is totally fine, and then I will expect my ass to be slapped. It'll never happen, Texter. It will never happen. And if you slap my ass at a remote show, that's the last dude hug you're going to get. Game hens are worse drivers than Clemson fans. Have you ever been to Columbia? Beat me to it. I was going to say, I don't know what fan base, but the worst drivers have an orange on their tag. LOL, so says UNC Chris. It's not just sports players and coaches slapping butts. J.J. McCarthy's dad slapped his girlfriend's butt after he scored a touchdown for Michigan. That can't happen, man. That just can't happen. As a native to the Southwest, I have to say Clemson fans have impressed upon me as the least talented of the two fan bases. We still talking about driving? Texter, we talking about looks. All fans and all South Carolina residents can't drive. Then you add all the northern folks in, and boom, worst drivers in America, bar none. Spur Daddy, you have not been to Florida lately. The second you cross the straight line, the state line, you are seeing something that you've never seen before. If officers sat on Woodruff Road and solely gave tickets just for blocking freaking intersections, we could have enough money to buy a solid golden Gamecock or Tiger or fund Diesel's lazy river.
We could build the soccer stadium with money just from tickets of people blocking intersections. Every time I bring this up, people look at me like I'm stupid. They're like, they just give that, huh? Look, I keep saying, why don't we put cameras on these intersections and start ticketing people for sitting out in intersections? It's a passive income for the state.
It is.
And it teaches people not to sit out in the intersection. It teaches you don't pull forward into the intersection unless you're absolutely sure that you're going to clear it.
100%.
How is this hard? How does this happen every day? Like, I'm waiting at the stoplight to come across Woodruff Road to get over here to the radio station. And I'm just thinking, that's 7 tickets right there.
Well, I will tell you this, Diesel.
I know it's a state law, but
no. A lot of times, and this has happened to me, you're out in the lane and you're waiting to turn left and you see the light turn yellow and now it's your chance to go.
Yeah.
And you got somebody speeding, running the light the other way. And now I'm in the lane, not because I did something wrong, but because I didn't want to collide with this guy speeding through the red light. Right? You see what I'm saying? Like you're out there and you're waiting to turn left.
Yeah.
Okay. And you got to wait, and you wait till there's a space or until the light is turned.
No, okay.
Right?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
The guy on the other guy is coming screaming down. And then you're stuck in the lane.
Well, there has to be a threshold that you're sitting in the intersection for like 5-10 seconds past when it turns red.
Yeah.
Past when it turns red. Not the person, and people abuse the crap out of that too. They abuse I'm going to pull out into the intersection while my light is blinking yellow. And then as soon as it turns red and all the cars coming towards me stop, then I can turn. You're not really supposed to do that. You're not supposed to. Like, it's not illegal, but you're not supposed to.
Texter says, these are all keyboard cowboys with no life. So says Mike C. I thought Spurs Up show, Chris Phillips made a good point today. He said, It's all the miserable people that are trying to take the happy people down on social media. And you never see happy people doing this stuff. So, like, I finally learned, it's taken me a long time to learn this, guys, way longer than it should have. I just don't respond anymore. Unless you say something like, I'm standing outside of your house with a gun.
Well, the problem is there's a lot of people who, to them, making other people miserable makes them happy.
That's it. Spur Daddy says, I went to Florida last summer on vacation and didn't see any worse than here. Maybe I wasn't in the right place to see it. Wow. That is intense, Spur Daddy. I can't, like, I'm telling you, if you drive from here to Florida, the second you cross the state line, it sucks. The driving sucks immediately. All right, folks, it is time when we come back for our Upstate's favorite athlete bracket to continue. We'll have a brand new matchup for you. We'll announce the results from yesterday, and we'll do it next, right here on the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate. It's Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel. We are the Fan Upstate, rolling on until 7 p.m. today. Truly do appreciate having you guys with us. So we had our closest votes ever yesterday. The final total, my friends, was 5 votes, separating 3-seed Clyde Mays and 6-seed Stanley Morgan. And this is going to involve an explanation from Diesel or I, because not everyone understands how the voting works. But I want to let you guys know that by the narrowest of margins, Stanley Morgan has advanced over Clyde Mays. What happens? Well, if you add up the Twitter and the Facebook votes, Clyde Mays wins by 1 single vote. When you factor in the text line votes, however, 71307, start your text with the word fan and away you go. Stanley Morgan won. What does that tell you? It tells you that Furman and Furman fans were able to mount a somewhat of a campaign online. They're not listening live to the show, however. You need to be listening live to the show because they won Twitter, they lost Facebook, they lost the text line, and therefore they lost the bout. But it was very, very close. Clyde Mays got 56% of the Twitter votes, and it was not enough because of Facebook and because of the text line. Stanley Morgan advances to round 2, where he will take on the 2-seed Jim Rice. All of which takes us to our matchup of today, my friends. Also, in the GOATS region, and folks, it is one of the two. When Diesel and I made our picks about who is going to win the Upstate's favorite athlete brackets, this was one of the 2 most offered people. That doesn't mean we're right. Doesn't mean we're right. Upsets happen all the time. In our Upstate's favorite restaurant bracket, Greek Town Tavern beat Hall's Chop House in the first round. That was a 16 seed over a 1. Upsets happen all the time. Is an upset in store today? Here we go. Out of the GOATS region. It is 8 seed Armonte Edwards against number 1 seed Marcus Lattimore. You may now get your votes in. Here's how you vote. 71307 on the text line is where you can get your votes in. Start your text with the word fan, and away you go. The point of this bracket is to be able to find out conclusively, to use our large platform to find out conclusively who is the Upstate's favorite athlete of all time. Now, Marcus freaking Lattimore is from Duncan, South Carolina, where he went to Burns. All these different town names, man. But I'm told that Duncan is Spartanburg. There was another city I asked about the other day, too, and somebody said, yeah, that's Spartanburg. Also, Duncan is Spartanburg. Marcus Lattimore from Spartanburg. As a player, he was with the San Francisco 49ers from 2013 to 2014. As a coach, he's been at Columbia, South Carolina, Heathwood Hall Episcopal. He's been at South Carolina as the director of player development. He's been at Lewis and Clark College as a running back coach from 2020 until the present. And he is a second-team All-American. Second-team All-American in 2010. Second-team All-SEC in 2011. First-team All-SEC in 2010. He was the Sporting News Freshman of the Year in 2010 and the SEC Freshman of the Year in 2010. He had himself a career and a year, and unfortunately, it was all cut short by a nasty injury that I learned last week that Gamecock fans consider to be a dirty play. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you're right. I'm just saying that I learned that you guys perceive that to be a dirty play. So we look at Marcus Lattimore's college stats, what he did at the collegiate level. In 2011, had 1,197 yards as a true freshman. 2010. In 2011, he had 818 yards. And in 2012, 662 yards, averaged 4.8 yards a carry. We don't want to ignore the other participant, though, because the other participant, Armonte Edwards, folks, just might be the architect of the greatest upset in college football history. The quarterback for the Appalachian State Mountaineers, when they went into the big house, Diesel was there and stunned the Michigan Wolverines. Armonte Edwards from Greenwood High School, from Greenwood, South Carolina, played for Appalachian State 2006 to 2009, was a third-round pick in the 2010 NFL Draft, had a 5-year NFL career, and then went on to the CFL for another 6 years. The great Armonte Edwards. Who gets your vote? Is it Armonte Edwards or is it Marcus Lattimore?
Only one of those guys is a national champion. Armonte Edwards won 2 of those. He was also a 2-time Walter Payton Award winner, which is the best player in FCS.
How about that? Best player in FCS. It is Marcus Lattimore against Armonte Edwards. Get your votes in now. 3 ways to do it. The poll is up on Twitter. The poll is up on Facebook. And our number one option in which to vote is via the text line, 71307. Just start your text with the word fan, and away you go. Armonte Edwards getting some votes here in the early going. Are Clemson fans going to be willing to overlook the Gamecock and the Garnet and Black? Are they going to be able to overlook that and vote for Marcus Lattimore? You know, like, I get the sense, guys, that when it's your NFL team, you no longer care about the whole Clemson, South Carolina thing anymore. You know, if you're a Carolina Panther fan, you're bent about the fact that the Panthers don't draft Clemson players, but you still root for the Panthers even if they have J.C. Horn at cornerback. I get the sense that even if Marcus Lattimore grew up a Gamecock fan, and I'm not saying he did, but if you are a Burns High School fan, you will still cheer for Marcus Lattimore at Burns High School. But when it comes to that college, boy, that is when it gets ugly. That is really when it gets ugly. I am surprised here, very surprised here in the early going at the number of votes that are coming in for one Armonte Edwards. Could an upset be at play here in the first round of the tournament? Many of you have picked Marcus Lattimore to win this entire thing. Let's see here. Here are the votes. Marcus Lattimore, Armonte Edwards, Marcus Lattimore, Armonte Edwards, Marcus Lattimore, Armonte Edwards, Marcus Lattimore, Armonte Edwards every time and twice today. So says Trey from Kentucky. How about that? Texter says, if I see a tail on the back of the car, I get off the road. It's like the tail is a warning that the driver is awful and unhinged. Yeah, it's smart driving, Texter. That is absolutely smart driving. All right, folks, I'm going to tell you something. Marcus Lattimore is going to need a lot of votes to beat Armonte Edwards. He's going to need a lot of votes. Armonte Edwards, let me tell you, on social media, this started last time, had a little campaign going behind him. This is the kind of grassroots marketing that got Greektown Tavern all the way to the Final Four in our Upstate's favorite restaurant bracket. So get your votes in early. Get your votes in often. When we come back, I heard a crazy Carolina Panthers prediction that I've got to share with you, and I'll do so next. Right here on Offsides, we are the Fan Upstate. Colin Cowherd today, and on the bottom of the screen, it had Colin's division predictions in the NFL. And they went through each and every division, and it got to the NFC South. Guess who Colin has winning the NFC South? He's got the Carolina Panthers winning the NFC South. Now, if you told me that Carolina finished in second place, I wouldn't be surprised. If you told me if the Panthers finished in last place, I wouldn't be surprised. But if you told me that the Carolina Panthers are going to finish in first place in that division in the NFC South, I would be freaking floored. And maybe Colin thinks that it's a division that is won with a record of 9-8, and maybe he thinks the Panthers go 9-8. Maybe he's a big believer in Bryce Young. But I'm telling you what, folks, 80% of all divisions are won by the team in the division that has the best quarterback. And at least right now, to me, that is so patently obvious that it's New Orleans and Derek Carr. And it just goes to show you, like, everyone's got a different opinion on Derek Carr. Nobody thinks Derek Carr is below average. The Derek Carr haters think he's an average starting quarterback. And the Derek Carr fans, of which I am one, more fourth quarter comebacks than anyone else in the National Football League. I think he's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. So, like, all of this consternation and the back and forth, it's like even the haters, they're like, oh, no, he's top 16. Yeah, like he's top 16 out of 32 starters. And all I'm saying is he's top 10. I've got him 6 places higher. Okay, I think he's really good. I think he needed a fresh start. I think now he's got his fresh start. But I was floored. And look, I love Colin. I love Colin's show. I thought that was the most surprising prediction that I saw. Does anyone else out there have Bryce Young and Frank Reich winning the division in year one? It's probably the second easiest division, the other South being the easiest, the AFC South, Trevor Lawrence and Jacksonville Jaguars and Doug Peterson. That's the worst division in the NFL. NFC South is the second worst, right? It's there for the taking, but I think Derek Carr signed with New Orleans to win that division. And I think the NFC South might be my easiest division to pick. All right, we've got the top 5 at 5 coming your way next, right here on the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate. Texter says, Mark, my prediction is the Atlanta Falcons win the division. Ritter will be benched by week 3, and Heineke will get his redemption run. If Atlanta wins the NFC South, that's how I see it going down. I'm not a huge believer in Ritter. And I do believe that Taylor Heineke is a baller. You know, the guy's a gamer. He doesn't have the greatest arm strength or speed or any of that, but he galvanizes a team, man. You know, and if you have a starter that is bumbling and fumbling around, that's exactly the dude that you want. All right, it is time for us to do that jam. We call it the Top 5 at 5, the top 5 biggest sports stories of the day, the top 5 topics we're discussing. Saying hello to all of our folks on YouTube today that are listening to us, that are watching us on the YouTube stream. Do appreciate it greatly, guys. It is time for us to do that jam, the Top 5 at 5. Ladies and gentlemen of the Upstate, Offsiders, the Top 5 at 5 starts right now.
And now, the Top 5 at 5.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hit it.
5.
All right, at number 5, Dalvin Cook is an elite running back. Dalvin Cook can't find a home. Please help Dalvin Cook find a home. He says he's injury-free and ready to rock and roll. This from the Adam Schefter podcast.
It's going to be a big difference, man. Not just it being in my head anymore, just me going to just play football and being me. And, you know, like, for people that's going through a similar situation of like you should get your shoulder done or not, like it's always in the back of your head when you take any carry. Like when you get the ball, it's always in your head like my shoulder could possibly come out. So me getting it done, it's like now it's over. Like now I could be Dalvin Cook back to Florida State, Dalvin Cook, and just turn it loose, be me, and just have fun, man. I'm just ready to go have fun.
Dalvin Cook needs to change the batteries in his smoke detector.
Oh, he does. Yeah, you heard that too, huh?
It was a house about 4 houses down from us that left their smoke detector chirping for like 3 months. It was the most annoying thing in the world.
How could you hear it from your house?
Had to have been in their garage.
Oh.
Had to have been in their garage. And about every, 30 seconds, boop, 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 for months. How do they not hear it? That's the question.
I do think, Diesel, the smoke alarm chirping is one of the more annoying things and the way that they do that, there's a better way to let you know that the batteries are running low. I get it's important, but it's like it always stops working too at 3 a.m. and you're dead asleep and you're woken up by your sleep and there's no going back to sleep through that. You're anticipating it beeping every 30 seconds and it does. Boop. Brutal. By the way, who's going to sign Dalvin Cook? Where's this guy going to go? He's a hell of a running back. Really electric. Where's he going to go? What do you think? I continue to see him linked to Miami, but I'm hearing that the dollars are not there for what Dalvin Cook is looking for, and Miami's kind of got him by the short hairs. There's not a huge running back market right now. A guy like Dalvin Cook might act like he's the cat's meow, and they're just that isn't that offer out there for him. And the reason is that you can get great running backs everywhere. Isaiah Pacheco was the Chiefs' starting running back in the Super Bowl. They got him in the 7th round. Damian Pierce, Florida Gator, had over 1,000 yards rushing for the Houston Texans last year. 4th round pick. If you can get that in the 4th round and pay a guy under $1 million a year, why do I need to pay Dalvin Cook 12? Doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. Next up.
4.
All right. Shared with you guys that Colin Cowherd's division prediction in the NFC South is Carolina Panthers 1, Saints 2, Falcons 3, Bucks 4. Atlanta 3 there, huh? But the shocker is Carolina winning the division to me. To me, this is the easiest division to pick of all of them. It's the Saints. You've got one settled quarterback situation, one top 10 player at his position. and a bunch of teams that have quarterback situations that are up in the air. Who's going to play most of the snaps this season for the Falcons at quarterback? How about the Buccaneers? We get the sense that Bryce Young is going to be the guy, but he is small and he is young and he is learning. Division winner? The Carolina Panthers to the playoffs this year? Really? I was absolutely floored by that. Don't get me wrong. I'd love it. I'd love it. We could use it. Diesel's hosting the Carolina Panthers kickoff show again this year. He would love it. Diesel, how hard was that to host last year with nothing going on?
There was no hope for anything. There was no goal to work towards. Once you got about halfway through the season, it was clear that the team had so many different cooks in the kitchen. They didn't know which direction they were going. It was depressing. It was depressing to do that show.
Not if they're going to win the division. Not if they're a playoff contender. My, how fortunes have changed from geek to chic. So says Colin Cowherd on the Carolina Panthers. Next up.
3.
All right, so St. Nicholas, Nick Saban, is under fire a little bit for some comments he made yesterday on the Joel Klatt podcast. And everyone's jumping all over Nick Saban for comments about, you'll hear him say it. Alabama, Vegas said we would be favored in all these games. If we were favored against 3 out of 4 playoff teams, why aren't we in the playoff? I'm going to defend Nick Saban here, and I'll do so after you hear this clip.
But I think even in the SEC, when you add Texas and Oklahoma, there's going to be more parity because there's probably going to be 6, 7 teams ranked in the top 20 that are going to be playing each other. So, but the problem with the way the whole system is, there's no accounting for that.
Right.
So all we do is take the teams that win the most games at the end of the year and put them in the playoffs. But do you really get the best teams? So when they told me that we would be favored against 3 out of the 4 teams that got in the playoffs, I'm like, well, why aren't we in the playoffs?
Sure.
Does that mean they have a better team, or does it mean that those people don't know what they're talking about? I really don't know that, but and I'm not being critical of anybody, but if you're going to have parity, you have to have a better way of figuring out who has the best teams, not just because you lose 2 games on the last play of the game that knocks you out when you may be better than somebody else who didn't have the same circumstances that they had to play in.
Well, Nick Saban's talking about the difference between objective and subjective rankings. Like, we just have a small sample size. There's not enough data, really, to have a truly objective ranking system because we see wins and losses and then we interpret off of those wins and losses. But we don't have that many of them to compare. So he's talking about how would you do that, Nick? You want to look at 5-star recruiting rankings from 3-4 years ago? Well, that's completely subjective also. There are no objective measurements other than wins and losses.
I'm going to defend Nick Saban here in this sense. No, I don't think if Vegas favors you, you should be in the college football playoff. I disagree with that sentiment. But I do understand completely where he's coming from in the sense of, well, they're telling me it's supposed to be the 4 best teams. We lost on the last play twice. What does it matter? Well, number one, Nick, wins and losses have to count. They have to matter. All right? And I think this whole argument over losses is going to ratchet to a level before you've never seen. When we go to 12 teams in the 2024 expanded playoff, folks, it used to be that, the SEC would get the tiebreaker. So if an ACC team had 1 loss and the SEC team had 1 loss, the SEC team gets the nod. But I wonder now if the SEC is going to be so damn strong that that league is going to be worth 1 or 2 extra losses. That a 2-loss SEC team is going to get in over a 1-loss Pac-12 team. Will a 3-loss SEC team get in over a 1-loss Big 12 team? Because if you're asking me, folks, who's a better team, let's say 1-loss Cincinnati in the Big 12 or 3-loss LSU in the SEC, LSU would be favored to win that game by 12 points. I understand. Standings have to matter. Games have to matter. The SEC fans did not ask to add Oklahoma and Texas to the league. But at the same time, fans from other conferences can say the same thing. What do you mean? You guys added Oklahoma and Texas. Don't come whine to us that you're 8-4. Don't come whine to us that you're 9-3. We won our games. We deserve to be in. And I will always believe, folks, that when it comes to March Madness, the little guy team, the Furman, should always get in over like the 8th best team from the ACC or the 6th best team from the SEC. I will always believe that to be the case. March Madness is about Cinderella. The 7th place team in a big league has already had their shots. They were mediocre. But these are all good teams, and there's only 12 spots in the playoff. And for a school like Florida, for a school like Clemson, you had a good year if you made the playoff. You had a bad year if you did not. It's very black and white, and we are about to scratch and claw each other's eyes out about the loss conversation in the college football playoff. Next up.
2.
All right, at number 2 on the show today. Man, this was a lot of fun. We had on new Clemson quarterback commitment Blake Hebert join the show at 3:20 p.m. If you missed that interview, we'll reset it for you about an hour from now. And he was awesome. He was incredible. Really mature guy. Says he's got to improve at literally every area. The family vibe that Dabo has instilled really spoke out to him. He said he spent 4 hours in Dabo's office where they were predominantly just talking about life, and Dabo was getting to know him and who he is. He chose Clemson over Notre Dame, Penn State, Auburn, North Carolina, and others. Is a solid 4-star player. And now if you're Clemson, I mean, think about this embarrassment of riches. You've got Cade Klubnik as Generation Now. You have Christopher Vezina as Generation Next. And you have Blake Hebert behind both of them. That's incredible. Our sit down with Blake Hebert, you will be able to hear right here on the Fan Upstate coming up at 3:20 p.m. And finally,
1.
folks, this is going to set a voting record. Yesterday, we had our closest vote to date in our Upstate's favorite athlete bracket. We saw Stanley Morgan beat Clyde Mays by 4 total votes. Today, in the GOATS region, it is number 1 seed Marcus Lattimore against 8 seed Armonte Edwards. And we need your votes. Armonte Edwards from Greenwood High School played at Appalachian State and with the Carolina Panthers, the architect of, in my opinion, the greatest upset in college football history. A 2-time national champion, a 2-time Walter Payton Award winner. Marcus Lattimore from Duncan played at Burns, South Carolina. First team All-SEC in 2010. 41 touchdowns. You know, I'm learning about these guys through you. What was it like to have both of them here in the Upstate? And who gets your votes to advance? Only one can. Here's how to vote. 71307 on the text line is where you can get your votes in. Just start your text with the word fan and then give us your votes, either Armonte Edwards or Marcus Lattimore. Also, you can vote in our poll on Twitter at The Fan Upstate and on Facebook, The Fan Upstate Facebook page. It's posted everywhere. Make sure you get your vote in. A whole lot of votes are going to be required to win this one. And those are today's top 5 at 5. How about this, Diesel? You know, Marcus Lattimore is supposed to run away with this thing. Right now, it's 53% to 47%. Marcus Lattimore over Armonte Edwards. What is it about Armonte Edwards that makes him so beloved? What is it?
I think it was little guy. Little guy had the opportunity to go. He was a quarterback in high school, had the opportunity to change position, go be a wide receiver. I want to say he was recruited by Clemson. Had the chance to change position there, bet on himself, went to a smaller school, an FCS school, and just absolutely balled out. He was lightning in a bottle when you watched him play. Lightning in a bottle. Like, he's that quarterback that's so damn frustrating because you just can't bring him down. He was that kind of player. There's no reason that a guy who was 5'11", 160 pounds should be able to do the things he did at quarterback and take the hits that he took and get back up. He was tough as nails. And he was just electrifying to watch.
Man, he was, and man, he is. And Diesel, is that a known thing that Clemson offered him, but he had to switch positions?
That's my understanding. Yeah.
Wow. He was going to have to switch positions if he was going to go to Clemson. You think Clemson regrets that decision at all? You think they would have liked to have seen what he could do at the quarterback position?
You can't add 3 inches of height and 40 pounds worth of weight. He really wasn't. He really wasn't the kind of player I think they wanted.
So there it is, folks. We need your votes. Many folks. Let's see. We've got Appalachian State fans retweeting. Diesel has retweeted. Today I give my all. And another Appalachian State account is retweeting this. Armonte Edwards against Marcus Lattimore. The vote is out there. And I'm telling you what, if you want Lattimore to win, he needs your votes right now.
I tell you what, if you want Armonte Edwards to win, he needs your votes too. Don't let Mark sway you on this.
I want. Listen, man. I want the Diesel. Look, I was thrilled when Greektown Tavern won.
Yeah,
I was thrilled. The upsets make this thing, but what I hate is when somebody says trash bracket because Marcus Lattimore didn't advance. Trash bracket. I'm putting the responsibility in your hands, okay? You want Marcus Lattimore to advance in this thing, you got to get your people to vote. You want Armonte Edwards to win in this thing, you got to get your people to vote. You got to do it, all right? Don't cry foul when it's all said and done if you don't have the votes of the other guy. 71307 on the text line is where you can get those votes in. Coming up next, it is the worst. It is the sport that is the least healthy in our sports lexicon today. That's next. This is Offsides, and we are the Fan Upstate.
Stream, it's been another huge day. We thank you so much. We were up to, I think, 15. Somebody pointed it out. We were up to 15 at the time. Viewers at one given time. That's fantastic. This thing just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and pray for us that we don't get flooded up here on the second floor, because man, this rain out here is nuts. Spur Daddy noticed it when we got a huge thunderclap, and it actually changed the background on the TV behind Mark's head. Did you notice that happened?
No.
It changed the background behind your head.
No. Fortunately, it didn't clap my backside, because that would have been a no. But guys, we appreciate you so much, man. This is great to see. Like, I love it. It feels like when I get to look over here to the right, and you guys see me looking over this direction right now. Here's the camera. Here's you guys. It's like we're having a chat with all you guys at the bar, because I'm constantly seeing all these comments come through. So thank you for creating that, guys. We will have no stream for the next couple of days. I've got show number 1000 tomorrow, but we'll see you back here on Friday for sure. All right. We appreciate you guys so much, man. Get your votes in. Get your people to vote. Oop.
We're leaking. We sprung a leak over here in the corner of the studio.
Oh, boy.
All right. Did you bring your swimmies today?
I sure did. Let's make it happen.
Bye, guys.